Welcome to Crushing IT, where we discuss, debunk, and question everything about information technology. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Richard Sun. Our discussions will be lighthearted and in a very casual setting. We'll be having conversations with sales professionals, system engineers, C-level executives, and more. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy our show. Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome to our very first show. I'm your host, Richard Sun. Today, we have a special guest, and our guest will be Dave Elsner from the Tech Sales Coach. Hey Dave, how's it going?
Hey, it's good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining our very first show and being our very first guest. Before we start, I'd love to have you do a quick introduction about yourself for the audience that don't know who you are. Love to know when and how you got into tech, and what you love to do when you're not working.
Right on. Hey, I've been in technical sales for 35 years. Started out on the ground floor doing outbound cold calling, setting appointments for people. Moved into an AE role, then sales manager, sales director, all the way up to sales VP. I was privileged to run some pretty phenomenal tech companies. I built the first ever Cisco partner back in the late 90s called Pac Bell Network Integration. And that was quite a ride. It was 6 years to $600 million. We ended up being the number one Cisco partner by far. So from there, the whole AT&T merger thing happened, and I ended up at a company called Nexus. And we kind of repeated what we did at PB&I. We took them from 0 to 600 million in 6 years, had
Awesome.
about 240 salespeople. We sold that to Dimension Data. And so I ended up with a $2 billion quota running all of the Americas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was 37 offices, 480 salespeople. It was a phenomenal job. But in 2016, I decided to break out on my own and do some consulting. So I started the Tech Sales Coach. That started in the beginning with me just helping CEOs build sales teams when they were small, something I'm really good at. And
Awesome.
that expanded into me leveraging the sales training programs that I put together while I was at Nexus and Dimension Data. And so I would include the sales training programs and then eventually made them a product. My primary go-to-market right now is being a fractional, sales leader. I continue to be hired by smaller organizations to build out sales teams. Probably the most popular thing we're doing right now is prospecting because everybody's having such a hard time. And so we focus a lot on modern prospecting tactics that are seeing much better returns than cold. And God, what do I do for fun? Well, I live in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And so outside of work, it's about Vegas entertainment. I love the concerts, the shows, the restaurants, the life here is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, you have your pick of all the different choices available to you at Vegas.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Good to hear. Well, I enjoy your success story, and I really appreciate, you taking the time to just have a conversation with me. I know we known each other for quite some time. I've been in the AM role for over a decade with various companies on both the partner side and the manufacturer side. So I just thought, why not have this platform to maybe empower some up and coming folks that might be interested in joining the tech sector and maybe talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and just kind of use this as a motivational tool for anybody that wants the knowledge transfer.
That's
So,
right.
a question I have for you, and this is probably gonna go back to the last 12 or 24 months in the tech industry. What have you seen that has dramatically changed that have been more of a challenge for not only SMB size companies, but even corporations?
Yeah, first of all, let me say, we met as a result of one of my clients, and you're one of the best sales AEs I've ever seen at social selling.
Oh, thank you.
I've taught hundreds of people how to do social selling. Very few people execute.
Thank
and
you.
know how to execute and know how to grow their network without coming off and doing a pitch slap. So, hey, the biggest thing that's changed, I would say, since the pandemic is cold call rates. Like
Yeah.
people don't answer their phone anymore. Uh, People don't respond to emails anymore. Spam filters are getting very sophisticated, and people are scared to death of AI right now.
Hmm.
And so they don't want to get faced with the fact that they're not talking to a human. And so it's easier just to ignore all of this messaging. And so that's been the biggest thing is the huge declines. I mean, 5 years ago, before the pandemic, we were seeing 4% email reply rates, and close to 8% on cold calling. Conversation rates is what we called it. Both of those have plummeted down below 1% now. So you really have to nowadays have a more personalized approach. Um, you have to come at it from not being a salesperson, but being
Right.
somebody that's there to help your clients. Therefore, a lot more legwork needs to be done on the front end to successfully get a conversation to your benefit.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. And a lot of the clients that I've spoke to in the past, I've been on a couple of CISO or CXO forums, and they're saying that, you know, it's the same sentiment. It's like they don't pick up phone calls. They don't want to respond to voicemails. They get 150 emails per day,
Yep.
and then if every single appointment that they took was 10 minutes, their day is gone. So what their response was that come and meet me where I'm going to be at.
Yes.
Do some research and learn about my sector or my line of business and where am I going to be at the next keynote speech or whatnot, and meet me in person. I rather appreciate that warm handshake and warm introduction than to receive any sort of like cold solicitation, right? So I think some of the challenges for us as AMs and AEs is that, you're getting rejected right off the bat. It doesn't matter if you're being creative. It doesn't matter if you're doing all the textbooks items that you're trained to do. It's really down to the human aspect, I think, and that's what's been missing in the last couple of months with automation and AI adoption is that we've become programmed. Customers have become programmed to not want to do anything, right? It's
That's
like
right.
I need a referral. I need someone trusted that you can bring in. Then I'll maybe talk to them, right? So I definitely see the shift, and I find it very interesting that, you know, with the Fortune 100 companies all the way down to startup companies, they're going back to old-fashioned tactics, right? It's a lot of boots on the
I love
ground.
it.
It's a lot of door knocking. It's a lot of, hey, you put in the work and maybe you'll get, a couple of appointments, right? So, thanks for kind of like sharing that information too. So I find that
Yeah,
was very
you
interesting.
absolutely nailed it. It's all about referral-based networking. It's about going to events, meeting the customers where they're at. And when you say old school, I used to knock on doors.
Yeah.
Like when I was selling phone systems back in the 90s, it was a door knocking thing. Or
Yeah.
or I was in the yellow pages,
Yep.
and then I would map out on my Thomas Guide map book
Yep.
where I was going to do my route that day. And I'd show up and ask for the telecom manager, and you have a lot more success, I think, that way than these cold approaches because people are scared to death of you.
Yeah. We probably just aged ourselves by mentioning the yellow pages and Thomas Guide. I think half of our
I
audience that's
did.
going to tune in probably don't know what that is.
This is true.
Oh boy. So yeah, so really on the professional side and on the corporate side, I do see a lot of dynamic changes in how we approach things. But besides that, do you see any other sort of like innovation or things in the market space where you feel that could be an advantage or disadvantage for an individual like myself or an up and comer to really adopt and apply?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about AI and automation like it's a bad thing,
Right.
but those are the two things that are really making it easier on all of us. I mean, the content that I can develop using AI having a conversation is pretty phenomenal as long as I train it how I talk. And
Yeah.
that's one of the keys to AI that people haven't discovered yet is You need to go in and program it and say, look at my
That's right.
website, look at my messaging on LinkedIn, and talk like me. And not only that, at a 10th grade level so that you don't use any fancy marketing words. Like,
Right.
let's just cut to the chase. So, AI is good if it's programmed correctly and you're double checking your sources. And I think automation is good if there's a good manager overseeing it
Yeah.
to make sure that it's just driving execution and taking away menial tasks and not taking away the personalization efforts.
Awesome. Yeah, I was reading up and studying on, ethical AI, large language models, and that's really where the challenge is with these large companies trying to really, spearhead and formulate like a proper AI mechanism that is more on the human side, right? You can do
Yep.
the voice acting, you can do all this stuff, but how close can you get to natural language where it doesn't sound robotic? Because I think call centers, and this is what's, you know, kind of scary, is there are going to be low level and even mid-level jobs that may be completely wiped out by automation because of how good and how smart the language learning model is and how they respond back to maybe like the first or second tier calls, right? Um, so that's another whole conversation that we can have in the future. But I really wanted to keep today as the first pilot episode to be very conversational, kind of give the audience a little taste of what's to come, and just kind of catch up a little bit and see how you are doing. And if you wanted to promote anything, here's your 60 seconds to promote what you want.
Yeah. Well, I've got about a dozen different workshops and training programs that we implement for companies constantly. It's always customized. We make sure to weave the customer messaging so that, what marketing and sales are saying are woven into the methodology itself.
Yeah,
We've got to be able to speak their language in order for the students to learn.
right.
And so, across those dozen classes, like I said, the most popular is the prospecting builds we're doing right now. We're
Awesome.
coming in and consulting about ideal clients, what the appropriate messaging is that's going to get you a conversation. We're training the sales teams on the appropriate motions, and then we're using the appropriate tools to make sure that they execute. And so that's the biggest need right now. I mean, I still do, keynotes at kickoffs and
Yeah,
have a lot of fun doing the fractional stuff, but by far that's the most popular.
that's awesome.
And then by the way, I did want to mention to you, I took
Yeah,
my social selling program and I developed something called social job searching. It's on my YouTube channel, The Tech Sales Coach. It's free. In the beginning, I was charging for it, thinking I was going to make a ton of money because there's so many people looking for jobs.
yeah,
Uh, but it's free on the Tech Sales Coach, and it basically takes what we teach in social selling and applies it to job searching. And here's a great example. We all do saved searches on LinkedIn, and we look at those, notifications daily about the new jobs that pop up. Well, the first thing you should check is, are you a skills match? Because the AST systems, if you're only a 4 out of 10 skills match, go in and see if it's warranted to add the additional skills before you click the easy apply button. And then work your network. You got to figure out who the hiring manager is. You
right,
got hey, knowing who the HR recruiter is fine, but they're not going to let you pass the gate. So get to the decision maker, find somebody that knows somebody, and take the time to engage with them on LinkedIn so that they, see some brand familiarity before you click that apply button. You'll have a lot more success with that, and get your profile up to date to show
right.
your subject matter expertise. I saw yours, it's beautiful. So
Thank
those
you.
those are the kinds of things that we take from social selling to social job searching.
That's awesome. That's great advice. And I know there's a lot of folks out there that need it right now. So, um,
Yeah.
Dave, I appreciate your time, and it was great having this conversation with you. I'm
You
sure that
bet.
we'll have more conversations in the future, but I just wanted to thank you again. And I'm going to go ahead and put your information link down below on the channel so that if the customers or clients need to reach out to you, they can. But
Okay.
again, just appreciate you jumping on the um, first show, and thank you very much.
You got it.